Oh, yeah. You know what? I actually read comic books. All right, if you guys haven't seen that video, I got that video up. I posted it yesterday. I think it's funny that people will come in and not call me. Oh, they'll come in and say I'm not a real DC fan, and I might be talking about that for a while because I just have to laugh. Also, for your guys' entertainment, you should head over to Twitter and check out the exchange between myself and the Truth 31. I finally decided to confront him about some of his moronic statements on there. So you can go see how toxic he was back towards me. And yeah, I just kind of brush it off. And even at times where I was trying to give him some advice, he thought it was me trying to make a comeback, which I thought was, yeah, it's just people. People. Yeah, at any rate. As the title suggests on this video, Warner Brothers just never ceases to amaze me. And maybe I shouldn't be amazed anymore. Maybe this is just going to be the normal. Warner Brothers Discovery is having a fire sale right now. And we're going to take a look at an article in a few minutes in regards to what Warner Brothers Discovery is trying to do. And ultimately, it's not going to help them. And that's the sad part. But they've made a couple of other questionable decisions in their marketing today that I have specifically seen online. So we're going to look at a couple of pictures and we're going to talk about those marketing missteps and just how asinine they are. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is that The Flash's director cut is 4 hours long and includes many significant DC cameos. Who wants to bet that that film is far superior to the one that they released in theaters? Again, I cannot believe how Warner Brothers meddles in these movies so much that they butcher them so you get such an inferior product in theaters. This is exactly why Warner Brothers Discovery is not Warner Brothers Discovery as a whole, but that their movie division is in the hole it's in to begin with, is because of decisions to cut these films. When you're trying to tell a narrative and a story, you need to have it all there. And we saw that start with Batman versus Superman. Now, this is going to trail into something I'm going to talk about here at the end of the video, the main reason for doing this video, but this is pretty crazy. This happened yesterday. After holding talks with Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, and Paul Thomas Anderson are reassuring fans on the future of Turner Classic Movies. Because David Zaslav went in and axed almost the entire Turner Classic Movies division of Warner Brothers. And these guys got so upset by it that they had an emergency meeting with him yesterday. So it's not just fans that have an issue with what David Zaslav is doing. It's also other filmmakers and obviously the peoples whose lives are affected by the cuts that he's making, because I really don't think this guy has the business acumen the way he claimed he did when he went in and bought this company. And I think I'm beginning to wonder why he even bought it to begin with. Now, this is something I found quite eye-catching. Industry experts blame James Gunn's reboot for The Flash's failure. Yeah, you think? This is what I talked about in my video. There is no question that those films, the two that have been released post Black Adam and the two coming up, are having issues, and it is directly because of James Gunn. And you have to wonder why he made the announcement as early as he did and why they announced that Cavill was gone, because had Cavill not come out and met with James Gunn and that announcement not been made, people would still think that Henry Cavill is Superman, especially after the post that he did. So they wanted to make people know about that right away, which is going to upset a big, large, huge chunk of people. And then he announces the reboot while there are still 4 films that need to be released. That has got to be one of the dumbest business decisions I have ever seen. This is what I'm going to look at. We're going to look at an article here in a few minutes, but it says Warner Brothers Discovery is in talks to sell around half of the studio's film and TV music publishing assets for around $500 million. That's not even a drop in the bucket to how much they owe. Now, somebody sent this to me, and I don't know if this is true or not. What I do know is that Ben Affleck was going to be in the movie, and Jason Momoa even posted a video with them on set together, or they were in his trailer when he was coming back. And this, again, was because of Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca. But it says Batman was going to have an underwater scene in Aquaman 2, and Batfleck even trained for months. James Gunn decided to cut all of these scenes upon assuming the presidency of DC. Ben Affleck had an important role in the last act of Aquaman and was going to wear an Atlantean suit to be able to resist attacks from adversaries. In the last act of Aquaman, Batfleck was going to fight underwater against one of the villains with everything and his Batmobile, showing that his vehicle was amphibious. James Gunn ordered Ben removed from the film, and now another character will appear. So for people to say Gunn did not have an effect on these films, he absolutely did, because he talked about having several Jason Momoa talked about having several Batman in his film. Now, this is something that Snyder Queen posted, and I thought this was interesting. Ben Affleck actually built a Batcave entrance in his house and spent over $50,000 doing it, which was hidden behind a moving bookcase. If that isn't dedication, I don't know what is. He talked about his kids loving the fact that he was Batman and that he loved the character. And he was recently on the red carpet talking about how his time for Batman came to an end too quickly, especially on The Flash. And he has made indications that he does still want to play this character further down the line. So like I said in my video earlier today, if you guys have not seen that, I talked about how they could easily fix the issues that they're having, but they won't do it. And one of those was to bring Ben Affleck in to do his Batman film. So this is crazy. This is one of the two things that I saw today that I think are absolutely ridiculous. First of all, we had an ad by Warner Brothers, talking about Wonder Woman being on digital, and they had the Flash running through the scene where she was. It was the scene where she went out on the battlefield, first revealing that she was Wonder Woman. They had the Flash running through that sequence and saying, Wonder Woman on sale, digital now. How dumb do you have to be to think that that's going to bring people in? They're trying to push the Flash. They're trying to get more sales. And for all of their efforts to push away from the Snyderverse, they sure are using it to advertise and promote their movies. And then you have this, and talk about being deaf, dumb, and blind. This is a 10-movie showcase of the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU. But the Batman vs. Superman is not the Ultimate Edition. And the Justice League movie is a theatrical version. But this includes The Flash, which made Zack Snyder's Justice League canon. Oh my gosh. How crazy is this? I think Warner Brothers has got to be the dumbest company that owns properties like this. I want them to be sold off to somebody else. I do. I do not want Warner Brothers in charge of these properties anymore. To be that out of tune to what people want is insane. This is something I would double dip on. I own all of these movies. I would double dip on this and absolutely buy this package if it included Zack Snyder's Justice League and the Ultimate Edition of Batman, even though I own two other versions of Batman vs. Superman, and I own both versions of Justice League, and I own multiple versions of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I bought his trilogy when it was released on 4K, Ultra HD. I would totally double dip on this, triple dip, quadruple dip on this, if it included the stuff that people want. This shows you how crazy and out of touch this company really is. So let's take a look at this article where Warner Brothers Discovery is negotiating to sell off $500 million of its assets, its publishing assets. This comes off of them wanting to also sell some of their stuff to Netflix, and I believe I already talked about this in another video, but they're licensing some of their shows. I talked about this the other day, yesterday, how they're licensing some of their stuff to Netflix. But it says Warner Brothers Discovery is negotiating to sell half of the storied Warner Brothers Studios film and TV music publishing assets for approximately $500 million. This news was first reported by Hits. While it's unclear exactly which assets are on the table, one source says that the rights to slightly less than half of the catalog, with a price of around $500 million, are likely to go to a major label, with Sony said to be in the lead. I don't want Sony picking this stuff up either. The catalog is believed to include music from films such as Purple Rain, Evita, Sweeney Todd, Rent, several Batman films, and many more titles, as well as songs included in films such as Time Goes By from Casablanca. Iconic titles, to be sure, but once again, it is unclear exactly which rights are in play. Top attorney Alan Grubman is said to be overseeing the deal for Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav. However, some observers cast a skeptical eye on the deal, saying that many of the company's assets are more than a half-century old and are declining in value and difficult to exploit. They are said to consist largely of film themes and cues, which, with comparatively few conventional songs, that would seem to have little familiarity or resonance in the present or future. The catalog is currently under a multi-year administrative deal with Universal Music Publishing. If they're selling half of their assets, I don't believe that that's just old stuff. I don't. If it's that much, and it would be worth a heck of a lot more than that, and several Batman films, hopefully it's just the music. But that's not what this sounds like, because it says film and TV. Okay, it is just the music to sell film and TV music publishing assets. So it doesn't have anything to do with the music, the movie side of this, which is something this could lead you to believe. It's just music from these films. So he's trying to sell this off. What's crazy about this, if you look at this, and this is the crazy thing, why are they trying to sell that stuff off when they are $49.5 billion in debt? $500 million is nothing. Why would they sell it to make that little chunk of money? It does not make any sense. So they're looking to sell certain assets off of the company. I just think that David Zaslav is inept at his job, and this is not going to sit well with a bunch of people. It's not going to sit well with the people who were involved with these projects, and it's just, oh man, this is crazy. Let's talk about this stuff here. I just do not understand how the studio can be this blind. I just don't understand the mismanagement at this stage. It's not even funny anymore. It has become a joke. Warner Brothers is headed for disaster. So, and the reason I even got and commented on the Truth 31's post today was because he mentioned how Superman Legacy doesn't need to make a bunch of money, that it doesn't have to. He went on to say it's not going to make, $800 million like what Man of Steel did. It's not going to make $600 million or possibly even $400 million. They're already making excuses. His excuse was that the DC Extended Universe has soiled everyone's vision of what DC should be, and they have no interest in coming to the movies. They're just not interested in any more properties, and that they're going to have to build that trust back. Well, he's right that they have to build their trust back, but the problem is, it's not that people want to reboot. It's that we wanted to see good stories with the characters that we had. We have people who are in their prime right now. Ben Affleck's a little older, but he's not nearly as old as Keaton was. And we've got a great trinity. You could build great stories around these characters, continuing off what was started. There was no reason for a reboot. Nobody was asking for a reboot. And the reboot isn't even a true reboot. If you're only going to carry some of these characters over, and I kind of discussed this in my video earlier today, it's not a true reboot and is not something that the audience is going to really, it leaves everything in question. They're just making the same mistakes over and over and over again. You have to run with the ball at some point, and they're not at that stage where they're running with the ball. It doesn't make good business sense at all, what they're doing. They're already making excuses for it failing. If you know it's going to fail, why would you make it in the first place? It just does not make any sense. I don't understand what's going on with Warner Brothers Discovery. It looks like it is a house that has gone up in flames, and there's nobody there to put it out or even want to put it out or even care to put it out. maybe they're looking for that insurance claim. Maybe they're looking for a way out to sell in the future. All right, so there's my update for the day. I do appreciate the support. We will see you on the next video.